Welcome back to another playoff interview. With me today, I have the bottom lane duo of the number one seed themselves, Predictive Gaming Midas. Is that it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
predictive.
yeah.
Sorry, I messed that up.
It
Fuck.
everyone just says PGM so much, so it's understandable if nobody actually knows what PG stands for.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Well, thank you guys for coming today. First things first, as any playoff interview always starts. Tell me, guys, a little bit about yourselves, how you got on PGM, some of your hobbies outside of the game, and what you like about Duo or dislike.
What? Well, I joined PGM Lyric about month 6 weeks before we started Duo, roughly. I want to say.
Yeah, more
I
or
was the
less.
last. I was the last one to join their roster. Um, I don't remember what the circumstances with the other support were. I just remember there were some interesting conversations about it after the fact. I mean, I know our core mid lane owner and Sirius have played together in many teams. Um, as for myself, I'm one of the boomers of the team. It's a joke. It's me and our top. It's Luke, our top laner. We're both over 30. I love following sports. I play video games like League. Read way too many books, and I work.
Oh, okay.
Pretty boring old dude stuff.
Yeah, bro, I hear you. I'm part of the over 30 club myself, so I feel you. Um, Check out Christopher Pelloni, Aragon.
Yep.
Yeah, Brissinger.
Supposedly, there's actually supposed to be a new show coming out
Oh, yeah,
on
I seen
Netflix,
that.
I
I seen
believe.
that. Very good one. So, Lyric, now we've heard a little bit about the grandfather of your team. How are
Oh,
you
one
doing?
of one of them. Everyone on my team is so old. It's so sad. One of these days, just get younger, forehead. Uh,
I'll be honest, I thought you were probably 30. So,
what?
Oh,
I don't know if it's your microphone or what, but it sounds like you've been smoking for
So
20
sad.
years.
Uh, it's something. Honestly, I was
Makes
just born this
sense.
way. I guess. Smile.
But tell me a little bit about yourself and how you came to PGM and some of your hobbies.
Uh, all right. I'm lyric. I'm not 30. Uh, I play League of Legends and FIFA competitively.
FIFA,
Um,
that's
yeah.
interesting. You play on PC with a controller or
Nah, PS5 had to
okay.
get it. Half of my income comes from FIFA. It's so sad. It's such a bad game. Uh, um, basically that I joined PGM because honestly, I think I just what's it called? I was bored of just playing FIFA and playing solo queue, so I was like, I might as well try and look for a team. Found PGM, had horrible tryouts, but thank God we picked the good players because now top of the league, easy as fuck. And yeah,
All right, all right. Um, so if you guys don't, please pull up your playoff brackets so we can have a quick look at that. I don't have mine up either, but I have it up now. So you guys have TD Lunar up this week. I'm sure that you expect yourselves to win, but with TD Lunars being their special case is they have two E subs, right? I don't think anyone would disagree that those TE subs have made their team better. But unfortunately, they lost four bans because of that. I think I stressed to them inside of their interview that teams like PG Midas, where everyone has two to three, sometimes even five, like high KDA champions in solo queue with over 10 games. How does that one ban affect your strategy? And they gave me, I think, a decent answer. So, does it affect your guys' strategy knowing that you're going to get mostly what you want, right? That you're only going to lose one ban. How does it affect the way you prepare for TD Lunar, or does it at all?
I know for at least me personally, whenever it comes to draft phase, especially if we know teams are hampered, it makes it slightly more challenging because even though, yes, they have less bans, you're not entirely sure where that one ban is going because, yes, you do have a large majority of, say, our quote unquote comfort picks available, but there's still something that they're going to be looking to prioritize to take away. I think in their first series, they went down to their very last ban in phase 2 before they got their first ban. Not sure if that's going to be the same format for us, our series, but it both frees us and makes things a little bit more interesting. I still think even though TDL has a lot better individual players, like I think Solus is a massive upgrade for them in the top lane. I still think, especially given their series against DOV, their drafts were pretty grief in some of those games. So were DOV's in DOV's case as well. But I still feel like when it comes to drafting, even without the 4-ban advantage, I still think we would have a massive advantage in drafting over TDL.
Okay. Lyric, how do you feel about how that changes your preparations and how TDL line up against you guys?
Well, realistically, I'm just gonna do the same I do in every draft phase, and I'm gonna like go get some water, like take a break, come back, and then I'm playing either Jinx or Silver. So, uh, but other than that, basically, no, we've been taking every game we play in duo. We definitely play it as if it's a final. So I think that's what makes us stand out from other teams. We also we signed, we newly signed like draft coaches as well to help us with picks and bans. So I think that's gonna be like if we were doing really well at bans, we're just gonna do insane now. Now that we're giving time and resources towards it. So I generally think like we're gonna win the entire league because we're just always prepared for whatever they throw at us.
Okay. So what are your guys' game score records for that series? Is this a best of three? Are you thinking you guys 2-0, 2-1?
I predicted 2-0 in chat, so I'm sticking to my guns on that.
Okay. What about you, Lyric?
Always 2-0. You can never PGM and Duo is like SKT, right? You can just never count them out. So we're obviously gonna 2-0 and all the way to the finals.
Oh, do you think that is because the team who has taken a game off of you has been pushed to the losers bracket?
It's more like that game was a very close game where one mistake would cost you the game, and unfortunately we made that mistake at the time. But overall, I think we've grown a lot more as players. We've also played a lot more together, have more confidence in each other, and we're ready for whatever the league can throw at us.
Okay. So moving on to the other side of the bracket on Friday, it is TLO versus PS Arknights, or PSA as most people know them by. Sorry, I have a 4-year-old knocking at my door. But 1 second. All right.
It's OP.
Sorry. How do you think that PSA lines up versus TLO? Who do you think is going to be the victor and why?
I predicted TLO to win 2-1 just because even with the roster situation that's come up for TLO, I just think that if things go right, they can still execute well. Like I still think Banana Slug Slim's one of the best supports in the league. So even if I believe it's Xerox is their AD carry now, is a little bit of an unknown. I still think Banana Slug Slim can do their job in terms of whether it's playing primary. Like I think Banana Slug's much better at enchanters and peel supports than that comes to engage, at least from the games that I've seen. Like I'd give myself an advantage when it comes to engage support matchups, but I think Banana Slug in terms of enchanters is better than I am at that. And whenever you're playing a meta like this, if you have your AD carry get fed, and that's the way TLO has generally played, which is through bot lane. You play a hyper carry with an enchanter. Hyper carry gets the 3 items. You always have a chance to win the game. PSA has been very inconsistent this season, even though I used to be a member of that team many, many moons ago as a substitute. I'm just not sure which PSA is going to show up some weeks. And even if I think they show up their best, I still think they're going to fall a little bit short.
Okay. So you guys weren't aware, unfortunately. So let me I guess say this. Banana Slick Slam is actually the top laner now. Stevie is the mid laner. Gambit's still the jungler. Zyrex is the AD carry, and I am now the support. So TLO's
Oh,
looking a little crazy right now. So I'm sorry. I thought that was public information already.
I might have misremembered, but I mean, Banana Slug is good fundamental player, so like switching to top lane, it's not that huge of a switch
Hmm.
from support role because I also off-roll top lane as a support player. Albeit it's a little bit more of a curveball because I mean, what I play top lane is probably not what Slug Slim plays top lane because I usually just play engage tanks when I play top lane, and who knows, could be engage tanks, could be control mages up there. But I mean, it's one of those things where I still think if they stick to their play style, which they've shown, I still think they're fine. They might even be more the top side, considering Banana Slug is one of their higher rated players. They could look to play to that side now, but I feel like in a hyper carry meta, playing bot lane's never a bad thing if you can get that person ahead and you trust them to carry team fights with a good with an enchanter support bot next to them or a peel support. Until like it's kind of going in blind with so many roster changes, but I still think TLO has shown, despite their stumbles at the end of the year, that over the course of the season they are a good team. So, and I still would give the edge to them being a good team, even if it's bringing in one new player, because you still have the four. It's just roles change over what PSA might be bringing to the table, just because I don't think PSA has been consistent all year, and I don't trust them over a best of three to be able to take 2 games over you guys.
Okay. All right. And also, I forgot to mention this earlier. Zyrox was TLO's AD carry last season for everything but the playoffs. So, but Lyric, moving on to you. Same question. I know it's been a long time, but how do you feel the TLO versus PSA matchup is going to go?
Basically, I think that I'm not sure. I've spoken to a lot of members of PSA, especially Kiri. I know that they're always cooking up something new to try out in their games, and it's always like a question mark whenever you go up against PSA. I think the most common or the least amount of variables are always with Spike in the top lane. I think he's a really good top laner. I think Borda is a really good jungler. Eclipse, obviously, or Dark Sovereign, I think is like the second best mid laner in the league. I think Daemon is really underrated for the type of player that he is. Like, even if he's behind, you can never count him out in a game. And I think that, again, like, increase, like, someone that can keep composure and not tilt during a game, even while being behind, is, like, huge, especially in League of Legends. So that's why I rate him a lot higher than, like, most tier lists, too. Overall, I think it's going to be a close game. I don't know how exactly all these new roster swaps going to work, and without the main man, the main carry in a row in TLO, it's going to be a weird dynamic change. I know Slug, from what I've heard, is a great top laner. Gambit, I know that every time I play solo queue and I see a jungler gank bot more than 3 times, I always say, why is Gambit on the enemy team? But yeah, no, I can never count TLO out as well as I can never count PSA out. So I think it's going to be a very interesting game overall.
Yeah.
Might go 2-1, or if might go 2-1 to either side. I think it's going to be a very close series.
Okay. Okay. So for the history of PSA versus TLO, formerly known as AGD, when we have met in the playoffs, we have only ever swept each other. So we've never actually taken a game if you were going to lose it. So I'm interested to see how it goes myself. Obviously, I would choose for TLO to win because I'm a little biased. I don't want to go through the complexity of the entire bracket. What I want to ask you guys is, realistically, or in your opinion, who does PGM play in the finals, and how does that look?
I think something we might end up see happening because I feel like there is a distinct drop off after the top four teams. Like DOV is really close to PSA, but I feel like DOV's drafting is what really sets them back in a lot of games. So I think any combination of those top four after us could face us in the finals. Like I could very easily see a situation where either TLO beats PSA and then PSA goes through losers bracket and then beats TLO and we play PSA in the finals, for example.
Mm-hmm.
That's an entirely possible situation. I think it would be interesting, though. I think from a narrative perspective, is what a lot of people have been saying all year, is that if it's not TLO versus PGM in the finals, it's almost a disappointment in a
Right.
way. And I'm still going to stand by that I still expect it to be TLO versus PGM in the finals. However, I would say if there is a team that could upset that apple cart, I'd probably say PSA, just because, as Lyric said, they got some weird stuff going on in that proverbial kitchen over there. So, I mean, they could always pull out a couple cheese picks that you don't expect. And best of three is not a lot of games to recover from that. So, like, as I said, I expect it to be a TLO, but PSA could upset things.
What do you think that game record is if you guys meet TLO in the finals?
3-1 worst case, 3-0 best case.
All right, Lyric. What about yourself? Who are you feeling to take you guys on in the finals, and what do you think the game score would look like?
So I think in a narrative perspective and just the story perspective, it should always be PGM versus TLO. I think there has not been a team that has given us as close of a game than TLO in the first week, and even in the last week, it was relatively close. Um, I think overall, of course, I can't vote against my own team. Uh, I feel like PGM basically like collected Exodia to a certain degree, and we have just like overall just even if we don't have individually the best players, we have a team that works together, that coordinates together. Like there are times where we might not be even playing a game. We'll just vibe and call. We'll play ARAMs. We'll like hang out with each other, and I think that synergy also takes into play, especially in Golden Under. Um,
What do you think the game score looks like?
uh, 3-0 or bust.
All right. 3-0 prediction from Lyric and a 3-0 or 3-1 prediction from Primus. So, being your first or second as a sub in your first season, experiencing duo, I'm not sure if you've ever been into a content driven league before. Is there something you would like to tell the duo community, or say that you like about duo, or that you do not like about duo?
I would say Duo's biggest strength is that, like, despite some things that happened, I'm sure in a more normal season there would have been more content. I know Shearer's been dealing with a lot of stuff behind the scenes.
Right.
But I do find the pot stirring stuff, like the tier lists, the daily duo stuff, the ranking stuff. Like I find those things interesting because it drives conversation, and like that's something I always enjoy. Like I'm a big numbers guy. I grew up in the sports world, so talking rankings, who's better than who, that type of thing has always been stuff I really enjoy talking about. So the fact that there are leagues out there who try to generate that type of environment, generate that kind of station is fun. And I mean, it might not be as focused competitively as other leagues are, but you don't need that. Like sometimes it's a lot better. Like yes, there's so like I don't mean this is not competitive. I don't want that to come across at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's just not like quote unquote like a risen league or upsurge style league where it's much more higher level play. It's still it's competitive, but it's for the everyday folks. Is kind of how I would describe it, and it's fun to have.
Okay, okay. What about you, Lyric? How do you find your first experience in duo? All right, Lyric, are you there?
My mic is griefing me.
That's fine.
No,
Technology OP.
true, true. I honestly think that I'm just just a great content, great piece of content. Because every time I try to do these interviews and like anything, I will always want to be present. I will always want to participate, and I always talk my shit because I believe in my skills as a player. Um, I feel like having more content, having uh, more like basically overall production is like always good for a league. It keeps it healthy. It keeps people engaged. It brings more people into the door that normally like wouldn't know about leagues like these. And especially something with like I can talk to like mostly anyone uh about this league from the members, and they know like things that happened like 3 seasons back, 4 seasons back,
Right.
like, and that's like really like that's really good because most Discord leagues, unless they're like fully established, are like uh 1 season, 2 season dies off, right? Uh, I think that's really good about Duo. I think obviously having uh more casted games would help, which can work by like making it a 2-day league, etc. And like small things like that can also help improve the content. Um, but overall, I think yeah, I've enjoyed my season in Duo.
Well, guys, that pretty much brings us to the end of the interview. Is there anything you'd like to say to the competition out there, or any last remarks before you embark on your playoff journey?
I just hope you're all ready because PGM Midas, we may be known as a small champion pool team, but you haven't seen what's cooking in our kitchen yet. We got a lot of surprises planned if anyone thinks they can take us down.
Lyric, yourself?
Um, PG Midas final 3-0.
All right, all right. You heard it here first. Thank you guys for your time, and I really appreciate the interview.